hard to really calculate, like, am I getting my worse by investing in like a CBD cream or stuff like that? Like, that's what I'm so confused about. So when you start talking about a product that's going to host some other cannabinoid or CBN, how am I sure that's actually giving me something?
All right, Chris, I am so glad you brought that up because that's a fair amount of work we've been done with the pharmacokinetics of cannabinoids, including we talk about skincare. We haven't published a study, but we want to make sure with any cannabinoid, if you're not absorbing it, you're not going to get the benefit.
Right.
And a lot of your cannabinoids are poorly absorbed. That's why we do know clearly when you go from its native oil-based format as an edible to water-based, you're getting two benefits. One is getting absorbed much, much, much faster. The other benefit, a lot of it is getting more absorbed. You're getting a lot more into your body. And that's measurable. That's measurable by actually taking a product, ingesting it, and then measuring blood levels over time to see how well it's getting absorbed. So we have, one of the things that makes Ripple different in the industry is we have the formulas for the edibles that are actually clinically validated with third party and valid and published in peer reviewed journals to show how well something is getting absorbed, how fast it's getting absorbed. And that technology platform now can be used for, and we know this could be also tested on the CBD side of the space because we use the same technology for THC and CBD or CBG or CBN, right? So you take any one of them of the cannabinoids and measure the pharmacokinetics of it. And that's how we know it's getting absorbed. And that's how we know the formulation and processing all matters on how quickly it's getting absorbed. And that's how we strive, we put a lot of energy to create the products that we know we get the same consumer impact every single time. And your point about topicals is interesting because a lot of it isn't getting into the skin. It may not be, transdermal versus topical. What benefit are you going after and how much work has been done in making sure the delivery of the cannabinoids are actually getting put into the right place in your body, or is it just laying on top of the surface? I know with CBD for sure, a lot of your products aren't getting absorbed. And that's why CBD may not have been getting as much traction in the space that it should be getting. So if you're taking CBD for pain management and it's not working, you're not going to drop down your money again to buy another dose for something that's not being, it's not working. And we've measured a lot of the products just aren't getting absorbed. And if it's not getting absorbed, if you're not getting into the bloodstream, you're not going to be able to circulate through your body and address anxiety, your pain, and relaxation or sleep. And that was one of the thesis for us to get into the sleep category, because we know from the technology, if we do put CBD in a product, we know with pretty high level of confidence that's going to be starting to get absorbed within 10 minutes, measurably. And if you want a product for sleep, the technology should be a very good technology to deliver a product that gets you quickly to fall asleep, versus in its oil-based form, you're not looking to see absorption until about 120 minutes to 180 minutes. That's a long time to have to wait to take a product before you start feeling the effects.
Yeah, you could be going to your kid's birthday party, and the next thing you know, you're just blasted high. You got to, plan your day.
Exactly. Yes, sir.
Well, Chris, that's actually a perfect segue, because I feel like one thing that everybody really enjoys about Ripple, and we kind of alluded to it earlier, is the quick onset from, feeling the remedy of, I guess, the quick sticks or whatever it may be. But also, like, the edible game itself has come so far along, like from the days of sitting around waiting for, this doesn't work, I got to take a second one. And then you hear the bad stories. Y'all have kind of come up with this emulsifier or whatever it may be that hits you in 10 minutes. Can you allude or tell us a little bit about how y'all got from the standard edible game to how we have this quick, the quick fix and the things of that nature that I guess Ripple is well known for?
Yeah, so the emulsifier is critical, like you said, Kip. To make anything water soluble, you're going to need an emulsifier. That's the laws of Mother Nature. We personally like the emulsifiers that are clean label, because everything that we put in a product is on a label like it should be. A lot of companies feel that it's a process they don't have to put on a label. So for us, we're very transparent, and we use we only work with companies that are large scale, like food-based companies. We're not buying anything from like China or off the internet or anything like that.
Hey, we don't throw shade at people that buy drugs off the internet. Shout out to all
so from a consistency standpoint, we got to have the same emulsifier behave the same way every single time. So Buying it off the internet will never do that. We work with large scale. You got the, all the QA, quality assurance documents, all that blah, blah, blah stuff. That's important, right? Okay. You starts there. Okay. Then the reason why we know it works very well is we've invested now 5 years in our processing to make sure it's the same exact emulsion every single time. I mean, stuff you look underneath the microscope and you look under things like fancy equipment like laser diffraction, making sure you're truly creating the same nano emulsion every single time. So it's a combination of picking the right emulsifier with the right process. And then the only way, honestly, you're going to really know how well it works, it's not predictive. That's you actually go through the work and going through clinical research with humans, not measuring it in a test tube and not measuring it with mice or rodents. Now, I don't want to throw rocks at that type of research. It's still better than nothing, but the gold standard, instead of with mice and rodents, is with humans. And that's the only way you really know. We've gotten some surprises, right? The only way you know if the form factor works is by measuring it through pharmacokinetics. We measure it in the blood, ingest it, and then wait a period of time and take tons of measurement, stick the heck out of the people who do it. Trust me, it's not a fun study to be involved in. You're giving a lot of blood. It's all, university approved studies, but these are not easy studies to conduct, nor they're easy for people to go through. But the data that comes out of it is very rich. And then you really get the insights on really what's going on with the emulsifier that you picked, with the process you picked, in the form factor, say gummies versus Ripple, then you can really see how it's being absorbed in people. And that's how you can then create products that is predictable for consumers to know what experience you should be getting. 10 minutes of rapid onset versus 90 minutes of delayed onset.
Interesting. Well, Chris, you kind of shot down the question that we were going to ask about how do we become one of those trial victims, because they really do something. You
earn your money, Chris.
Yeah.
I promise you earn your money.
I mean, if we're talking about $20 here, no way. But if we're talking about, $250, sign me up.
Yeah, is this like semen or plasma? How much are we paying these trial subjects?
Okay, so
don't answer that. I saw you look.
I'm not. I'm going to plead the fifth on that one. Most people who did the research and worked all the way through was truly because they had a passion for science. The money was nice, but the actual, to do it right, the commitment was substantial. Because Kip and Chris, if I give you 5 different products to test, that means that's 5 different weeks that you have to go through each time, test the product. And you got to be prepared for that. It means you have to have a washout period before. You have to not use cannabis for 4 days beforehand, right? We were doing this on a fasting stomach because we didn't want any other interferences with food. So you get a really clean read. So
this does sound miserable. I'm out. It's 4 days of sobriety and no eating for testing. I can't check any of those boxes. I'm sorry to say.
Amazed at what I'm willing to do for $1. So I could do that.
I spend all my money on fucking sandwiches and weed. It would be counterintuitive for me to just fast and not smoke, only to be able to eat and smoke.
And you have to just say when you're doing the blood analysis, it lies. When people cheat, you can see it in their baseline data. You can see the blip in THC. Like, no, I didn't touch THC for 4 days. Oh, really? That's not what your blood chemistry is telling us. So. Yes.
It sounds like we need to be better about our lying, Chris, because it sounds like we tossed out of this trial quick, fast.
Hey, Keith, this may not be a question you can answer, and it may not. I don't know. It's just kind of a weird, random question. But if you were to say, let's take just your typical joint sold, nothing big, nothing fancy, and compare that to like a 10 milligram Ripple packet.
Yep.
How can you compare those two? Like, is 10 milligrams worth of edibles like equivalent to a few puffs off a joint, or what am I doing? Like, because there are different highs.
Yes.
But I'm just kind of wondering how you can gauge that. Say, like, if you're first entering the edible game and you're primarily a flower smoker, how do you know what to judge?
Yeah, Chris, I want to give you an easy answer for that. A clean, nice, simple answer.
Do it.
And I don't think I necessarily can. I mean, I can tell you that, believe it or not, when you smoke, roughly about 50% of what you're smoking is actually getting absorbed through your lungs into the bloodstream. And we know in a matter of seconds, it's going through the receptors in your body. However, it's not necessarily the same if you take 10 milligrams of an edible that's fast acting. You may still get a different hit, a different high.
Right.
And I wish I could explain to you exactly why that is, and I cannot. I can tell you people who are heavy users for smoking, and they might take a 10 milligram gummy, and I hear, wow, that 10 milligram gummy really hit me hard. Why is that? I can tell you why it's absorbed quickly into your bloodstream, but why it hits receptors in your body differently than when you smoked, that's a much harder one to answer. So
Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't expect.
I can speculate that you might have different, because you got so many different compounds being absorbed that some of them might block other ones and give different, different compounds going to be affecting your body differently. So if you get this whole cascading of different compounds flooding the bloodstream at the same time, they might compete for the receptors in your brain and how you feel, versus if you have, say, more pure compounds of delta-9 coming into your body, it might affect you differently. Okay. So you might get a stronger hit with the delta-9 versus if you're smoking, you've got all the other things going on with the terpenes, that might change how your high feels. So to say something's a smoker high as an edible, I think that's a hard one to actually make that statement, to be honest with you.
Well, then
it's not apples to apples comparison.
Right. This may not be an apples to apples question either. It's just kind of in the same boat. What we've seen is a large influx of first time and new users to the cannabis industry, whether it be because of state legislation that has allowed, it to be legal for someone like my family, my parents, or the sticklers that didn't have the opportunities. Why is it that edibles seem to be the first go-to? It's that and vaporizers seem to be the first two, yet there's still that, there's so much saturation and questions out there about different consumption methods. Is it always going to be on the uptick, or is this like just a wave or trend we're seeing right now with the new, users?
Yeah, from what I'm seeing from global data.
Shout out to our European friends.
There's a movement towards, as we look at cannabis for health and wellness, to move away from some stigmas that could be associated with smoking. And therefore, if it's health and wellness, form factors like gummies make sense because, hey, that's how I take some of my vitamins at home, for example. So I think that is part of it. I think some people in general coming into space, they just may not want to smoke. They'd rather ingest.
Okay. Yeah, we talk about it because Chris read that article a couple of years ago and we still reference that exact one, but I just wasn't sure because it seems like market trends show that edibles are the way of the future. And so I just wasn't sure what y'all were saying from the inside as a revolutionary leader in the industry.
Yeah, I think that trend is there. I think it's a macro trend. I don't think smoking is ever going to go away. I think it serves a place. It serves a very good place. I think the benefit consumers are having as the markets become more mature and more sophisticated. Ultimately, the consumers win because they're getting more options at their fingertips that work well and that are very well, very sophisticated and becoming more tried and true for the benefits.
Right. And that's what I do. Like, sometimes like if I smoke flower or something, I can never gauge like, oh shit, I'm about to be really fucking stoned, or like, oh, okay, this is going to be a smooth sailing buzz. But like with Ripple, because I've consumed lots of Ripple packets, I do get that consistent high every time. Like I know like, okay, I'm about to mix this with some water. I'm going to be high in about 10 minutes and I know what to expect. And that's one of the amazing things about the product. My question on the Ripple product, though, is if you want to dissolve it and then use it in, let's say, like some kind of food preparation.
Mashed potatoes.
Yes, mashed potatoes, great one.
Thank you, Chris.
Great. But are you going to get the benefits of that product? Like, is it not going to be as advantageous just to take it normally, or what's the deal with that?
Should we treat it like Metamucil?
You can treat it like Metamucil. As far as being dissolvable and being very diverse in what you put it into, you're not going to lose the benefits. You put it in. Let's take your mashed potatoes, right? You love mashed potatoes. You just finish mashing them all up. You have them ready to go. You're ready. Just add the packet right into it. You're going to get the benefit. Now, what you're going to see though, Chris, I'll bet you, I'm going to predict, right? It's not going to be that same 10-minute absorption though. it's going to be delayed impact. But what we see with the presence of food